as always, thank you for clicking. I'm Tiffany. This channel is Beyond Swatches. My goal and purpose, if you are so inclined to follow along, is to, as I always say, find patterns that make me happy, that fit well, but to curate a wardrobe full of knitwear that I absolutely love the fit of. And I love working with yarns that just bring me pure joy. So that's what I talk about here. I try really hard to be a positive voice. I don't want to do a whole lot of complaining, but sometimes there's some things to complain about. Some of it is personal complaints, and some of it is just overall industry complaints and the things that you would like to see change, and you don't really have no choice or effect over it. And then other things you can do a little rah and maybe you can get some change going. But you know, I'm just here sharing my journey. I'm always working on something, and I try my best to document it. So if you like that sort of thing and it's not too boring for you, click the subscribe button and join. Really, I'm just sharing my journey. If I have nothing that I'm working on that's of any interest, I don't share it. So I just don't want to fall into the monotony of I have to grow my channel, which I'm very appreciative of the following that's there, and I really just wish that it wasn't just a numbers game when it came to building a quote-unquote community. So, but that's really what it turns into sometimes, and that's just not my thing. So anyway, today's video is just a knit and chat, or a knit with me, because I do have some things that I wanted to talk about. Well, share is kind of like an inner working of my mind, so proceed with caution. It's a little chaotic in there. And I just wanted to kind of get some of that off my chest and out of my head, and maybe you feel the same way and we can just talk about it in the comments. This project that I'm working on is the half and half wrap. I'm trying to turn it around the right way so you can see it. I just made it to the end of a row, and it's in my absolute favorite color, the brightest pink that you could find in the store. This is the Purl Soho linen quill, and I think this pink is called Pink Pop, and maybe this stripe of green that I randomly threw in here is called Lemon Lime, but basically it's a hot pink and a electric green, or a lime green, a yellowy green. So I have made, as far as progress, how many rows have I done? I cannot move these stitches down without losing my work, but I've done that much as far as short rows. So we're steadily moving along, right? We climb up until we get down to the last 3 to 4 stitches or so. So all the rest of these will become short rows. And then once you get to this end, you just basically short row it back and resolve all of these stitches. So if you've never made a half and half wrap, I think it's a beautiful project to practice your short rows on, because there's so many of them. It was one of my options. If you've clicked on one of my community posts, that is something that I'm thinking about. Maybe we can do as a online group and just work on a half and half wrap, and maybe you can just tag me with a hashtag or something, and we can kind of share those pictures, or you can send me pictures and we'll share it as a group on the videos. I think that'll be kind of cool to see what everyone else is working on, the color combinations. That's always the best part. Like, the funnest part is picking the best yarn and having the most fun with the color, or just one solid color even if you want it. But yarn is fun. Patterns are practical, but the yarn makes it fun, you know. So that's what I think we should do it that way, because I did get a couple of votes on that post about making the ranunculus. A lot of people really want to make a ranunculus, and it's so funny because so many people have already made like multiples, and then I still run into people who have never made one, and they're like, oh, it just seems so intimidating. It's really not that hard. Honestly, it's like the yoke section might be it's a lacy section, so I'm not saying that it doesn't require some thinking, but it's so much fun to do. And it sounds like I'm overstating, but I promise you it is a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it if you do it. So that might be what we end up doing, primarily because the half and half wrap is just a giant square full of knit stitches. And once you get past the first 2 or 3 back and forth sections, you kind of don't need any help. It's really easy. So that might be my next option. So we'll explore it in a future video, but I think that's what I might do. I'm currently hosting a knitting group for a group of ladies who wanted to make their first sweater. I titled it the Springathon because we started it, I think, the week after spring, or maybe it was the first weekend of spring, I don't remember. And it was running until the first weekend of summer, which is June 24th, I think we said. And yeah, so we're almost there. And while there are challenges and things, that's part of what I wanted to talk about today, just to encourage you beginners. So if you're a beginner and you're here, just stick around. Maybe something that I say will encourage you to not give up too quickly, to redirect your focus or energy. That's what I was thinking. Grab a project and let's just talk about some stuff. So I was working on the half and half wrap. I try to get in a couple of back and forth rows like on the weekend. I also am working on a cardigan, I'm working on a shirt, and there's always something. So I try to get a couple rows in of substantial knitting on each project every day. If I would just become a monogamous knitter, I could probably finish more things, but that will never happen. Oh, one other thing I don't think we've talked about yet. I started this project maybe 2 weeks ago. I was looking at some yarn in my closet. This is some Ella Ray Phoenix DK. I don't have the label. Oh, wait. Nope, I don't have the label. But this is what the yarn looks like. It's a mustardy yellow. Well, you saw it in the shirt, but it's a mustardy yellow. It's kind of... is it going to focus? Okay, there it goes. It's kind of ropey, right? It's 100% Egyptian cotton, I believe this one is. It's really soft. The thing with cotton, it has no stretch. So it kind of hurts my hands a little bit to work with it. And quite honestly, the sweater that I'm working on for the knitting group is also in a cotton. And then there's this cotton. And I just finished working on that Lola top, which was the Happy Place, which is also a cotton blend. And I gotta tell you, my hands are tired. So working on the half and half wrap, with that being like superwash merino and alpaca, it has some stretch to it. Oh, I feel raindrops. Is it gonna really rain or is it just fake raining? Let's see. I'm not scared of a little water, y'all. But I don't want my phone getting jacked up because, quiet as it's kept, we are not buying a new one. So it feels like it might be trying to rain. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a little dark cloud over me. Look at me learning how to read the weather. All right, we're gonna go in the house. I'll be there in a second. Hold on. All right, so we had to relocate back into the house because it started to rain, which is, you know, part of what it is in the summer. All right, so we are back in the house. It's probably like 20 minutes later because I came in here, I started cooking. I started cooking before I went outside, but then I had the season and I didn't let the kids know that, yeah, it's a thing. So I started cooking, got things situated, passed out a few orders. I had to find the yarn. Like I came in here and got the yarn and I don't know, I just got distracted. So we're back and thank you for staying. So this is the yarn for that top that I was casting on. I don't even remember if I said the name in the previous clip, but that's the Tolsta tee by Rebecca Clow from the Crayabea Knitting Podcast. Love her. So this was for the Tolsta tee. That's what I cast on. Let me pull it back out. And the Tolsta tee is pretty much a basic raglan. Now, I think the way she's doing these raglans I have not done before, but see how it looks? Most raglans that I've done in the past have been a knit front and back on either side. of a stitch and it creates like a little decorative something or another. This one is not that. I won't tell you what it is because it is a paid for pattern, but if you're an experienced knitter, you might be able to tell. So that's what this is, and honestly it's working out just fine. I wanted to use up some yarn out of stash, and that's what this is. This is the Ella Ray Phoenix DK, which somebody lied when they said this was a DK weight, because it has the right yardage for what a DK is and the right needle size, but this ain't no DK. Look, can you see? Oh, I gotta block my face. Can you see how thin that is? Like, that's not no DK. So I knitted up as a fingering. I didn't swatch anything, I just cast it on, and I'm okay with that. But it's coming along well. But what I was saying before, the cotton is kind of hurting the hands a little bit. It's stiff. It has some spring to it, but when you're knitting with it, it's kind of stiff. It's very drapey if you knit it on this recommended needle size, which is also good. I feel like it would be a good, like a mesh cover up. It would probably knit really well like that. Trying to think, anything like that, like one of those. I've seen knit tops that were like mesh, like fish knitting, and I think this yarn would be good for that on a larger needle. But anyway, I digress. We're gonna talk about my dress. We're gonna talk about my dress. The dress that once was. So in the previous video, I mentioned I ended up having to frog this dress, and the devastation was real. I was so upset, but it's all gone. It's officially ripped back. I put the needle in. What I ended up doing in order to fix this, which I might insert a clip here, but all I basically did was I looked at the last row of the pattern. It was a purl row, and I tried to go up like 1 or 2. I think I went up 2 stitches above the purl row and inserted the needle all the way around, and then I ripped back. I decided to rip back all the way to the knit round after the last purl round, after this panel of work right here. So for what I'm looking at as far as what stitch to pick up, is going to be the second. This is the bump, and I'm not picking up that stitch, but I'm picking up the one right over it. So that's how I'm going to keep track. And this is going to be a long and tedious process, but this is my punishment for not reading my pattern and writing my notes like I should have. So we're gonna knock it out today. We're just gonna finally pick up these stitches and get ourselves back on track. It's just so hard sometimes to keep your eye focused on which stitch is which. So I'm just trying to make sure to get it, picking up that right leg of each stitch. And like I said, this is the purl, so that's the stitch right here for the purl. I don't want that one, I want the one right over it. Sometimes it gets a little lost because things have shifted in all this time, but it's a pretty sad day in my world. All right, so I picked up all of the stitches. Every stitch is accounted for. Second stitch above the purl round, all the way around. And now begins the task of actually pulling this out. What fun, what fun. I was able to look on the inside to kind of figure out where the beginning of round marker was, and that was right here where these color changes happen. And so I just put the stitch marker in and ripped it all back. And not to say it was completely easy. Once I got down here, I missed some stitches and I put the wrong stitch on hold, so had to drop it out, and you know, things happen. So if you ever have to rip back something and you feel a little like, oh, I can't do it, yes you can. You just have to take your time. So now I have increased on this last round, I've increased to the right number of stitches. As it turns out, I was still looking at the wrong size. I'm telling you, man, this pattern almost broke me. You know, I fell in love with it when I saw it. It was like so pretty. The model was gorgeous. The black one was my favorite, but I don't want a turtleneck. And I like this one because I like the design of this better. The three colors, like I like this. I do remember vaguely when I casted it on the very first time that I said, this is gonna be too big. And the reason I said that is because I ended up ripping it out because I messed up something with the hem. I did something, I don't remember what, but I did something and I ripped it out and I was gonna start over. And when I ripped it out and I stepped into it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be too big. Like I put it around my thigh and I had all this space and I was like, oh, this is too many stitches. And that was at 320 stitches. Or was it 340? Whatever it was, I dropped it down to the size below, which is 300. When I did that, I remember telling myself, you don't want it to be too big at the bottom because you don't want it to do the potato sack thing. But then I turned around and told myself when I get to the like mid belly section, I was going to increase by 20 stitches so that it could cover my stomach and not be tight. And I never did the increases. And truth be told, when I look back at the picture, it does give potato sack vibes, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying, trust the designer. And I know I had mentioned this in a previous video, but trust has always been a problem for me. I don't know if it's because, I don't know why. I don't know why I feel like designers just don't get it. And maybe it's because primarily size inclusivity is a more recent thing. And I've just always been burned by sizing. You know, even in sewing patterns. I tried to sew for a little bit, you know. But I've always felt like, no, that can't be right. No, I'm gonna just add 10 more. Or no, that's not right. And I don't know. And so I didn't trust the numbers. I kind of felt like it was wrong. Whatever reason, there's a lot of doubt when it comes to, if the designer looks like they're a size 4, they probably don't understand what it's like to fit a size 18, 20. You know, they wouldn't know, let alone a 4, 5, and 6X like some of these designers say. But as it turns out, I'm not a designer, so it could just be as simple as doing the math and it still works. It's not fair for me to keep saying they don't understand if I've never given their formula a try. And that's what I realized when I worked on this pattern. It's like I have put no trust in the work of the designer or any faith in the people that published the magazine that they would know better, you know. So I had to rip this whole thing out, and I was, like I said, I was devastated. I didn't cry, but I definitely felt like I should. It was rough. It was rough. This was like, I was so excited to get it on the needles, and even now, like I immediately started working on it because I knew if I just took it out and put it in the closet, I wouldn't work on it anymore. And I really want the dress. And I don't know if I want it now because I'm being stubborn, as I always have been told, or if I want it because I originally felt so much joy behind the idea of making it. In full transparency, when I put that post up, I had already frogged this dress. It was just sitting there, and I was just like, I can't do it. I was too hurt. I was too devastated. I was mad at myself. I was like, how could you be? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm knitting. Let me see if I can pull you down so you can kind of see. But yeah, so I was just disappointed. And because I was disappointed, I just couldn't deal with it. I guess I had to go through a grieving process. Maybe that's what that was. And, but now I'm okay. Now I felt like yesterday I actually caked up the yarn. I took it out and caked it all up in all its different sections. And I just started knitting. So I increased to the right number, which is 380 stitches. Lord have mercy. It's gonna take me forever to get back to where it was. No, it's not. I'm just being dramatic. That was my problem. My problem is that I had to frog my dress and I was depressed about it. Not depressed, but I think I was just sad. Because again, decisions. I made a decision to not trust the designer. And I had to suffer the consequence, which is not a major consequence. It's just time. As if my time isn't valuable. But yeah, so that's that. That was my little soapbox moment. Sometimes, especially these more popular designers, we just have to give them the trust that they have earned, you know. Alright, so I recorded this whole video, but I realized that I was rambling a lot, and even though this was supposed to be a knit and chat or a knit with me with your project and everything, normally for a knit and chat I just come and just start talking and we'll just kind of talk through some random things that's kind of floating through my head. But I'm in a really unresolved place, and I think it's all really regarding knitting, by the way, not about life in general. Because I had to frog that dress and I admitted it now, and I'm still technically processing. It sounds so dramatic, but I'm still processing the grief of it all, because what I realized is that I essentially did this to myself because I didn't do the one thing that I'm always telling everyone else to do, which is to trust the designer, trust the process, and I didn't do it, and now I have to redo my whole dress. And that makes me sad. It makes me sad. So yeah, so now I'm sitting here. The rain has stopped. It wasn't really a full rain either. It was just a drizzle. But I didn't want my phone to get wet, so that's why we had to run in. And like I said, I sat there for about 30 minutes and tried to explain some things. But when I tried to piece it back together to try to, you know, put it together to present, it was just too many thoughts. But suffice it to say, if you are a beginner and you messed up and you had to frog it for like the umpteenth time, you are not alone. This is actually the only time that I frogged this dress. Actually, no, it's not. It's the second time that I frogged it. The first time was in the hem when I knew that I messed up the numbers, but I just didn't follow through with trying to make sure I was right. I just did what I thought was correct and it was wrong. So now I'm just going to finish cooking. We're having yellow rice with some beans, like Spanish beans and rice, and I'm gonna sit back and enjoy the last of my Sunday because I got work in the morning. And it sucks. It hurts when you are the cause of your own, I don't want to say downfall or ruin. Like, I promise you, it sounds so dramatic when I'm talking about it, but I don't mean it like that. My cat is running over here. What's wrong? Well, if you stay from out them people's yard, mind your business. Anyway, so I'm gonna sit outside. Obviously, my brain needs some time to... When did we turn into an animal? What is this? Anyway, obviously I have more unresolvedness about this whole dress situation than I thought. So I'm gonna sit outside, listen to my little murder mystery, and maybe I can kind of just let the stuff process through knitting. So I hope that you have a wonderful Sunday. I hope that you are ready for next week. For those in the knitting group with me, we will be meeting on Friday again. I know a couple of you told me you wouldn't be there. So if I don't speak to you during the week, I hope that you have a great rest of your week and we'll chat again. But as always, I thank you for just coming in, kind of riding this wave of jargon that sometimes doesn't make any sense. But this is real life, people. This is real life. Sometimes projects just don't work out. Sometimes you're your own and worst enemy. Sometimes you just got to learn a lesson. And that's it. So we'll talk again soon. Bye.
Hello everyone. Happy Sunday. Just want to tell y'all have a great Sunday here with my wife. We chilling. See the smile? Go ahead, smile on me. That's it. That's it. That's why I love her. Y'all enjoy your day. Take care now. See you later. Turn it off, sweetheart.
Can you get out?
Okay.
Just get up and walk away.
See y'all.
Thank you.
You didn't record it.
It is recording.
Why are you still recording and I'm gone?
Because I was recording.
Oh.